And even when it comes to the attachments and the added things to games that make them more complicated, on that same time, we get information way faster than anything. We know about a meta almost immediately after an update happens. True. There is a graphic. I have an app on my phone that updates all metas and has a camo tracker and all that in the app. The information is, but that's what I'm saying. The information is that's fast.
Just so we're all clear, casual gamers across the world, like that's who we're playing against. What is good, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the main story, as you can see behind us here, where we talk all things current events, esports, gaming, what's going on with the Pioneers, topical jazz, and the last one was really fun, so we decided to do it again. Today I'm here with Kingston, bam, Nick Rich, bam, Eddie Lee, bam, and that's us. This is what's going on.
Yeah, let's get it. We got a lot to talk about today. There's been a lot going on in the Twitter and gaming and esports world. Not necessarily pertaining to KCP, but regardless, like we're gonna have some good conversations today. First being like we made our ALGS debut this past weekend. The boys played really, really well, including like a crazy play for like I'll let you break it down, but that shit was so fun to watch.
Yeah, man.
Tell them about Super Rat.
Yeah. Freaking Max super ninja rat guy.
Fly, birdie, fly.
Man, he overall we'll start from day one, I guess, getting first place. You know, the kickoff our ALGS debut was amazing. 19 kill dub was pretty insane. I just felt like seeing the boys kind of just feeding off of each other. And, you know, we watched them in scrims kind of going through ups and downs, and just to come into game day and just be full of positivity and just shots hidden, it was... Man, I'm like, that's a championship team right there.
It's great. And don't you feel like just unbelievable for Max to be in the situation that he's in, playing out of the Ukraine and, you know, having power go out and internet, not like, which is like, you know, the least of the problems for the folks at Ukraine. And obviously we support and feel with them. But it was great to see like the three, you know, the three amigos, you know what I mean? And so it was really nice. Although we've had great subs, so that's fine. But
right, it's like it was written in the wall, right? Like, like the performance was just written, like it was great. You know, like it was their debut with us, and then day 2 for them to come out and still get top 4, and then Max making the freaking play of the weekend. Like
we'll have to clip it here.
We'll have to clip
do that.
it.
Do that. Somebody do that for us, please.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was like one of my first times watching competitive Apex, besides the Rewired Fest. But watching that play, like he was last alive for the squad. And if you're not super familiar with Apex, like probably the most team-oriented game out there. Like you cannot 1v3.
Yeah.
And so for him to just stay alive, I think he went from like, who it was Max, right?
Yeah.
He was in like it was like 8 squads remaining when he was alive by himself and he got second.
Yeah. And it's crazy how it happened too, because Nask and Dell both went down and they just were rezzing Max, and he was coming off of the thing.
They get clipped after they res him,
like,
and they're
like, Max, land on the thing, and he lands perfectly on the plat, and just stays alive the whole time, rats around, and buys enough time to get second. It's just,
I don't know if this is like my bias because it's our teams, but like genuinely, I feel like our Apex team and our Rocket League team embody the Kansas City, like the Chiefs are the most exciting team to watch in football, most explosive. And like our teams are like the same way. Like they're just so fast all the time and they have fun while still just frying. Like
I think it's the personality, the electricity. I'm coming from a person that really gets to see a blank canvas of a lot of other esports teams. Yeah. I don't see that same fire, that same drive out of a lot of the teams that we've competed against. So to sit back and watch everybody, as you said, feed off of each other and really start to grind, seeing literally the res come down and them all be like, okay, we can still rally and make something out of this. Like it's just big brain plays, and it goes to the ecosystem that's building in not just esports, but what we're doing here, along with the Chiefs, along with the Royals, along with that, this electrifying offense feeding off of teammates. It ain't just something that grows out of thin air. It's something that's here and it's special.
It's facts. I was going to ask you a follow-up question, and then it dawned on me that we should introduce like who you are.
Okay.
Tell us about yourself, and then remember, I have something to ask you.
Okay, so we got to follow up after that.
there's a
okay.
follow-up, sir.
What do we need to know right now?
I mean, I feel like I did a pretty good Kingston intro. I did it when we did the It's Chalk.
yeah.
Okay, wait. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's get it,
I
man.
mean, from Atlanta, Georgia, the longest reigning champion in the Southeast to this day.
Yes, to this day.
Yes, sir. Kingston Robinson, a.k.a. Game Armor Game, a.k.a. Adrian Armor, a.k.a. K-Rob. That's my guy right there. This is the most hype
it right
I've
there.
ever picked up to KCP.
That's it right there.
I'm ready.
I mean, that was just as a side note. That was a great intro.
Yeah.
He didn't
I
let
got
you
it
down.
down.
He
So
shot a shot.
that's me.
There was a night where I was in the YouTube rabbit hole, just like watching video after video after video, and I got up to Kingston's channel and like watched his promos that he cut for wrestling like
So good.
3-4 years ago. So like I'm ready to run through a brick wall at 3 a.m. Like I
Yes.
want to put somebody through a table.
Like it's so then based on that,
Okay.
who in the wrestling world would you compare the Pioneers to? Throughout, like, I mean, we can go back WWF, WWE. We can go like whatever you want to pick.
One person
You can do one
or a
person or a
tag
team
team.
or a tag team.
that embodies.
Or
just
even a
the spirit
even a
of the
faction,
Pioneers.
Even a faction.
Faction.
Well, if we're okay, you know what? I'll give you one of each.
Okay,
If we're gonna go faction,
Okay.
let's go to 4 Horsemen. Easy.
That's
That's easy.
4 Horsemen.
Top of the top, they all feed off of each
Gotta
other.
tip
The communication, the creativity, how the way they revolutionize the game.
Yep.
Crazy. 4 Horsemen for sure. If we're going tag team, Hardy Brothers.
My guy. Dude. That's all I wanted to hear.
Easy. Being cut from a different cloth, walking to the beat of your own drum, like Hardy Brothers, or depending on the situation, the Road Warriors.
Wait, what? The Road. Oh, I don't remember the Road Warriors.
Football pads with the spikes.
Oh my
and-
God.
Yes. Okay.
Because
That's fair.
hey, I've seen around the office sometimes. You know, sometimes that Road Warrior got to come out. You got to put your
Yeah.
foot down and make sure some things
true.
are rolling how they should.
Facts.
That's exactly right.
And then if we want to go solo dolo, one person.
I wonder if we're gonna
are we gonna hear it? Wait, are we gonna hear that? Are we gonna hear?
Oh, I wouldn't know.
What are we thinking? Obviously not him, but
Stone Cold.
I was gonna say Stone Cold
Really?
or The Rock.
Stone
I was
Cold
gonna go
Steve
The
Austin.
Rock. Also, just because he does everything right now. So
I wanted to do The Rock, but Stone Cold has that rugged, gritty. Everyone wants to be. Everyone wants to have the dialogues that he had, the moments that he had, and all of that. And ever since, not only just being a part of the Pioneers, but being outside and seeing it grow, everyone has that, like, whatever they're doing, whatever they're cooking, oh, it's good. I want to be a part of it. Oh, these moments that they're having, I want to fit into those shoes. Every time you watch Stone Cold Steve Austin on TV, especially when he's yelling at Vince, you embodied yelling at a teacher, a boss, or whatever that superior was, and be like, I want to do that too. And there's so much that we do on the weekly basis where people are like, how are they doing this? We would love to do
Magic.
this. So Stone Cold, Road Warriors / Hardy Brothers, and then the 4 Horsemen.
That was a solid answer.
That's a great answer.
yeah, that's facts.
Okay. Well,
That was not a pre-screened question. You hit me on the
no,
spot.
on the spot. Well, it just made me think of it. It was like, well, I kicked it off and then just said names, which are great, but like they need to know.
Yeah.
Well,
They need to know, sir.
speaking of superstar / public figure / celebrity, we're gonna categorize.
Hey, we
this
riding that
person.
segue.
Elon Musk is taking over Twitter, and there's a lot of controversy, I'd say, over being able to pay for a verification badge.
I'm verified.
Among the other, I think everybody sitting at this table is now verified, which we weren't last week when we filmed
Facts.
one podcast
Facts.
episode and we
And
got
got verified.
It's
Crazy.
Can you imagine?
No, but there's a lot of dialogue of like people feeling different about it, and I would love to hear your guys' opinions. But first of all, I just want to say that like I didn't before it rolled out, like a lot of people were talking about this is stupid, like nobody's gonna pay for this, and then it comes out and everybody on the timeline has a check mark. But also, I feel like the same people that are like, I would never pay for $8 for a check mark are the same people that spend their like they have their Spotify and their Netflix and their subscriptions, which is fine. You can spend your money on whatever you want to. But if it's an $8 check mark that's going to boost me up in the algorithm, I can upload longer videos, higher quality videos. Like, that's an investment in myself, whereas something like Netflix or Spotify is for leisure and whatnot.
But for clarification, though, it was all with the exception of having the check mark. You had all that stuff with the $2.99 Twitter Blue.
Yeah.
Except for the throw that on there.
That is true.
Very true.
I mean, you left out technocrat billionaire, which is what I would say.
Yeah.
So I think we should definitely go around and hear what everyone thinks just from, a user perspective. And then I have a few concerns. A few concerns, Twitter.
I could start us off. I mean, from a user's perspective, here's my thoughts, right? Like when the verification system re-rolled out again, like when people were able to apply like maybe 9 months ago. You remember it was already flawed. Like there was people who were getting verified that shouldn't have been verified. There was people that weren't getting verified that clearly should have. We were qualified, had checked every box, and we just were getting simply denied.
Yeah.
And that's why I just feel like, why be so mad that, it's a Twitter verification badge. Like I can pay for it. I have it. I have the money to afford it. And I didn't get verified last time, so best believe I'm going to flex this time.
I mean, like, if the prior system in place, like Eddie said, some people are getting it that shouldn't have and vice versa. Like, if there was a better system in place previously, then I feel like it wouldn't be what it is now. But even that, like, it's just another thing that's dividing people even more. I feel like it's just like people are like, oh, you're paying $8 for Twitter. It's like, but I see it from this perspective. And
yeah.
I mean, you pay $8 for a Starbucks drink.
Yeah.
every day.
Every day.
Not a month.
And like they don't do anything but call your name.
Facts.
Drink
And sometimes spell it wrong.
Well, maybe.
Usually.
Depending on the name, yeah.
Mike? It's like it's Mark, whatever. That's close. That's close enough. Okay, I'll take it. Yeah. No ice? Okay, great.
Okay. Also from a user perspective, but I've talked very vocally on Twitter since this whole thing rolled out because I was looking at Twitter Blue before verification was even a part of it. Just as a creative standpoint, being able to upload higher quality videos, longer videos, editing tweets within a duration is also a very nice thing, something that users have been asking for a very long time. So the features that were coming along with this program are kind of like a sideshow compared to what everyone's talking about because the badge has taken over. And to me, the badge is only something that people make out of it. People have this unsung currency that they've put on this verification badge because of the people that grinded out the following or grinded out whatever they did, the multiple application denials or whatever. They've put this currency on this badge. And now they think that badge is worth that currency and people are paying $8 for that, even though that's not even the same plane of where it is now. The verification badge is in a completely different state. It's not worth what you previously went after to do.
Yeah.
So the kind of like the point in memes and all of that of like, oh, he paid for Twitter. It's just like, okay, well, one, if you're a creator and you see the assets will benefit you, that's great. Not everyone needs to be a creator. Not everyone needs the added benefits.
Facts.
So coming down to it, if you want it, go and get it. Don't let anybody deter you away from it. And also, this could be a big social experiment, and we'll find out in a couple months. We'll just see how that all goes. But don't let anything, there are so many apps out there that you have to pay to get added benefits for. Are they all social apps? No. But you look at the benefits and say, does this benefit me? And am I willing to pay for it? And that's it.
Well, it's bifurcated, as in if it's a tool from a creator's perspective, then it makes sense. Everything you guys all articulated, and then on the other sense, it's like it's human nature to want to belong, to want to stand out, to want to be part of something, and which is obvious because like you best believe as soon as they rolled it out, it was like check mark. You go through like everybody got it, so that's interesting, and then it just kind of proves the point where Twitter needed, to generate some revenue because, allegedly or apparently, they're having trouble with like, advertisers on the platform because of their uncertainty. And, what's really interesting is today's Friday that we're filming this podcast. I don't know what the date is. What is today?
So it's
11th.
Yeah. So it's
11/11.
Yeah. It's Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. Sorry, we'll talk about that at the end. So we're 11/11. As of 11/11, we've let Twitter has let a lot of folks go. They had like a Twitter space call with like with some of their advertising leads from a leadership perspective, and then soon after they left. And then today it's rumored that Twitter might go bankrupt. Or file for bankruptcy, which doesn't necessarily mean the end of Twitter per se, right? Because there's a lot of nuances that go on with how they file and what they do and what the expectation is. Right. But here's a really good question, though. I'm going to ask a question and go like, here's a great question. It's a great question. I hope everyone's waiting with bated breath. But it is like true that if Twitter disappears, where does because it's like so ingrained with like esports and gaming. Yeah. So let's say Twitter does go bankrupt. Like what platform? Because like TikTok's different, Instagram's different. Like we know that,
it's
right?
YouTube.
Like Snapchat, YouTube.
Because you can like post. I don't think people really do it that much, but you can post on YouTube like a photo.
All of the things that YouTube has started to roll out between this current year and coming up in the next year all take the main social aspects of each platform and integrates it into one. You have your shorts, you have your long form videos. Now you're starting to get actual posts where you can post text, pictures, clips, all of that onto another timeline. The only thing that's technically missing is a story aspect. That's it.
I don't know. I think the user interface of YouTube is nowhere near like
absolutely
yeah, the timeline, quote unquote, would have to be like completely separate from where videos are stored. But this is, I feel like apps like Juked or whatever that are coming out that like want to be the hub for esports news and stuff like that. Yeah. Like this is when they're like holding their breath, like they have their fingers crossed, like please, you know, like
is Juke still?
It's steadily growing,
yeah.
You know, but I would be curious to see though if like would the gamers flock to Juke, or would it end up growing if Twitter did dissolve? But
there's also a new platform that, and we'll have to put it in here, but it's supposed to be decentralized and some other variances, and it's created by or advocated by Jack Dorsey and his team, so the original founder of Twitter. So that's kind of interesting to think about. And then the other thing, not to get on the topic of society and what we're doing, but if you think about it, like you start thinking about Elon and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, like we're really living in a space where like technocrats, right? Like, there used to be like autocrats and, people would rule and different ways that people would govern society and so on and so forth. But now the rise of technocrats and like a few people controlling how we get our information, where we get our information, how you receive that information is pretty crazy. Like there used to be, and I don't even know the facts, right? But like generally I know there used to be like hundreds of local papers back in the day, right? Yeah. And now there's only like 5 media companies that own all of the papers. So like, are you really getting like Rupert Murdoch and I'll have to think who owns the Washington Post. I'll think of it in a minute. But like there's just only a few people that own like all of our information, and like it used to be like property, and then it was capital, right? Like, and you still have the upper 1% and the 0.01%, like these billionaire autocrats. But now you have people that have moved and shifted over to controlling information, and that's what makes me like feel a little. I mean, we don't have to get into an election denying. I do not believe in election denying. Just so we're clear, like we know who won fair and square, or I do. You should too. But like, I mean, I think that's something that. I guess the question would be then, based on all that, will people start making choices on platforms to understand more about transparency, data privacy? How the algorithm works, not just to like get popular up in the feed, but like, is that something that people will consider?
I think so, because it's already starting to happen. I mean,
how so?
I think in the lay of land of what we have now, I mean, there's already apps that are popping up previous to this situation that are more like in tune to the real information and being able to provide a community with direct or at least honest information. I think right now we're in the climate where that's what everyone is searching for. Yeah, we still have a generation that wants to bring a cloud of whatever they want to be perceived, especially those that are higher up in power. They're relegating the information due to their perception on what is real or what is deemed acceptable to be out there. We're also having this huge wave of another generation that's just like, look, let's get to the point. Let's get to the real information. Let's get to what's really going on. Because how long are we just going to like sit by and be like, oh, so this is what's really happening? Oh, okay. I'll just take that for 100% the fact. And that's it. We don't have that anymore. How many times a day do you scroll on any social media platform and see a video and be like, probably not even real, or that soundbite that they're talking about is probably not a real thing, or and all of that. And
deepfakes are crazy.
But that's the reality that we live in right now, where we have to question the second that we open the door outside of our own realities. Is this real? Is this what's going on? But asking that question sparks the curiosity to lead to real information. And I think we have a generation of researchers and those that want to actually know what's going on. So I think it's starting to happen. I think things like Twitter Blue and stuff like that add extra motivation for people to be like, okay, look, let's get the real things. Let's get.
But do you think Twitter? So you're saying Twitter Blue is like, how does that make it?
I'm saying that's motivation for those that are like, okay, we see that this is possibly another avenue of controlling a narrative.
Gotcha.
Let's go and try to figure this out and do this on us.
With all of that being said, do you guys think you're addicted to social media? Because I will 100% admit that I'm definitely addicted to social media. Like there will be times where I'll take like a weekend away from socials, but like I will constantly think about like, oh, I'm just gonna whip out my phone and check Twitter without even thinking about it.
Just so ingrained into our jobs now that I feel like I almost have to be.
Yeah.
Like I need to know what's going on within esports. And
I feel like that's part of what's super hard about being a content creator or online influencer, anything to do with all of that, because typically you work a job, and whether it's a 9 to 5 or not, you clock in and you clock out, and you have time at home away from work.
Yep.
But what we do for work is literally on our phones. So it's like we're laying in bed at night scrolling apps. Like, are we working? Not necessarily, but we're staying up to date with the latest because that's what we do.
It's true. I mean,
So it's just like I'm always on social media.
we're addicted.
you're addicted. That's it. That's that. Full stop.
I can't say that I am. I'm addicted to social interaction. I love being able to talk to people. I love being able to share stories. I don't really care for social media. And I think mainly because, speaking of wrestling, coming from that world, it's a vanity show. Everyone is putting out their best lifts, their best moves, their best this and that. And that social media interaction for so long kind of dulled the experience for me. So now it's like I check in, I have alerts on either the people that I really care about or the companies that I work with or whatever. But other than that, I like to be able to like check, interact if I need to, and then hop off. I'm proud to look at my screen downtime sometimes and be like,
wow.
Yeah.
Only a little bit? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that, you're using it, I guess, what it was originally like as a tool, right? And then what ends up happening and, like the psychology of it and, getting your dopamine from getting likes and being present and attaching your, then it becomes like a, Black Mirror episode where like your value in life is based on your social following, which by the way, like that was part of this whole experiment recently with Twitter Blue, right? Like people are saying, oh, I'm verified now because I've sought to be that for such a long time. And, maybe 3 years ago, like verification meant something. Not that it doesn't now or a couple days ago, it still did, but they were getting it wrong.
Right.
Before it was just like, okay, Patrick Mahomes should be verified. Yes. Like he's a public notable figure. You know what I mean? But somebody that's like, I'm the third backup on a Overwatch team that competes and
Slap a badge on them.
A local, like how did they get verified?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like sometimes there's no rhyme or reason, but it is this like need to understand what's going on to manage your public persona, and then also there's just like neurological reasons why like people are legitimately addicted. Like that's the whole point. Like there are, the argument is there are much smarter people and a whole lot of people large groups of people and a lot of capital deployed to keep your hand and your phone on that app, right? The retention
100%.
is great. Like the and there's been all kinds of studies and there's been, Netflix documentaries or whatever. So it's like really tough to balance, and you just see it with like the rise in Twitter Blue. Now everybody's like, I'm verified. And it's like, that's something that you wanted. So it's like almost like you got a Super Bowl trophy or a ring and you didn't even play in the Super Bowl, but you're like, I've always wanted to. So now I got one. It's like, you just picked it up for like,
when you can buy the commemorative ring and be like, the game I watched.
Yeah. It's my city.
I think it's just like anything else in life. It's like too much of anything is bad for you.
Yeah.
So those days that I do take off, or anyone listening to this, it like takes off. You feel yourself being a bit more productive, whether that's around your house and cleaning, or maybe you spend some extra time in the gym, whatever it is. Taking breaks is definitely necessary, and I highly, highly recommend it.
It's the cliche: go out and touch grass.
Literally, touch grass.
Just,
where it came from.
Feel the sun. Check the mail. Like literally anything. I try to break up, whether if it's social stuff, editing stuff, even gaming, whatever. I try to break those things up so I don't find myself in this weird mundane cycle of just like, oh, okay, well, let me check this app.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this app just led me to this. Now I need to check my YouTube. Now I need to do that. Like, hey, everything's going to flow naturally. Do your thing as organically as possible, because as content creators, I feel that we force that addiction by saying, I need to be on this to be able to be successful.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is the case, because all you're going to do is compare yourself to everyone else. That's all the timeline is comparing yourself to other people's content when you're going to create something that's you. No one is doing what you are doing. You can play the same game, you can stream the same hours. No one is going to make your content. So stop looking at everyone and being like, oh, I need to jump on and make this TikTok. I need to jump on and make this YouTube short. Do you. And then use the platforms for the tools that are just abundantly available, and then go for it. So I try to break those things up, whether if
interesting.
Whether if it's checking the mail, whether if it's, hey, I just want to go to the gym and run on the elliptical. Yeah, I could run in the neighborhood, but I want to remove myself from that space so I can give my brain the relaxation to be like, okay, hey, you didn't run in the neighborhood and immediately run into the house and start making 15 thumbnails or anything like that. Like you gave yourself that time.
Yeah.
It's your schema, right? Like it's the environment that you're in and then how you respond to it is what that means. Like, and so if you can put yourself in a place to be like, hey, I know when I'm here, this means X, you know what I mean? When I'm at the gym, like I'm not, tweeting I'm not at the gym, first of all, but like when you, the collective you is at the gym, you could take a break, right?
Yeah.
Like, and go out and get vitamin D and do all those things, but it's easier said than done, right? Because it's like 24/7 all the time, emails, all this good stuff, like big topic, and maybe a segue is, let's see if we can do it. So addicted to social media, you're always on your phone, and then we can maybe segue into how esports and gaming are, one, some of the most popular games in the world are handheld. Yeah. And then two, recently, League of Legends just broke like an insane viewership record. Who knows what it is?
I mean, you texted it to me this morning, so I'm not going to.
5 million? No.
What? You're close.
I was close. I think it was like over nearly 5 million viewers combined, right? 6. Dang.
Matt Ness is behind. Actually, he's not behind. He's just, tell me what you're sipping on. He's sipping on some G Fuel behind the scenes.
Dude, League of Legends is one of those, like, I respect it, and I recognize it as the biggest esport in the world, but I just can't, like, coming from a first-person shooter background, I don't know what's going on. Man. Like when people start getting hype in the crowd, and I'm like, I guess something cool happened. You know what I mean?
There's some swirls and sparkles happening. I don't know.
But I mean, every single person.
That's my new alt. Swirls and sparkles.
Everybody that I knew was watching it though. Like Reed and I are playing game battles on Modern Warfare 2, and he's like has it up on his second monitor. Like everybody's watching.
Even I was peeking it. League was my first PC game I actually gave a shot. So when I got my first laptop and everybody's like, oh, you should play League now that you have your own laptop. I was like, I got this laptop to produce music, but thanks. But then I was like,
maybe.
And then I started playing. I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is kind of cold. So yeah, no, if League can transcend to everyone, it really shows how powerful the fandom around that game is.
Do you guys think it will be the biggest esport forever? Like,
I mean, I just truly feel like what makes League so unique is that from a global standpoint, like compared to other esports, the other countries are truly super involved, like everywhere. Like, you know, you have teams that are good in Europe, you have teams that are good in Japan, US, and I think that's what makes League so strong is that all of the countries are kind of super involved, super engaged, and it's people from everywhere that are tuning in to watch, truly. Like, truly, you can look at the numbers, I'm sure, and it will probably tell you that it's pretty spread out from across regions that are tuning in to watch League. And I think that's what's always going to keep them kind of growing and keep them as a tier 1 esport. Whereas, you know, certain esports are still being introduced to different countries still.
Yeah.
Like, they're still on the rise. So League kind of has had that foundation from day one where it was played everywhere. Like,
So it's been around for a while, which is helpful. The publisher Riot does a great job at like delivering the ecosystem, right? And then I think the orgs that get like they partner really well with the publisher. So if you have a little bit of, you know, publisher support and you have some time under your belt, and that you can really create an ecosystem where fans can really go nuts and like the orgs can feel like this is a great experience in a sport to deliver back, then I mean, that's the recipe, right? Like, is CDL there yet?
not at all, and it never will be.
Never?
As much as I love Call of Duty, it's not. I'm sorry, but the only thing that I could see possibly surpassing or even getting to that point is Rocket League, because we kind of just talked about the direction of society with like TikTok and short form content. People's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. So watching a Rocket League match is super easy. It's super easy to understand and adapt and watch, especially if you're a fan of traditional sports, whereas a League of Legends match takes a bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
It's a learning curve.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a very high
Big
learning curve. So
yeah.
even though Rocket League right now you're seeing what, like 250K viewers for a majors final-ish, maybe 300K, maybe 400K, I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
I think
something like that.
It's
Like
not
there's
peaked
still
above 4,
yeah.
I don't think.
There's still a long ways to go to get to the League of Legends where they're at, but esports in general is still so young. Like
So Rocket League is I'm sorry to interrupt. So Rocket League is a tier what esport right now then?
Oh, I think it's still tier 1. Yeah. But I think League of Legends is like they are the standard.
Here's my question for y'all though. Do you think that Rocket League needs to franchise in order to reach the League of Legends level, or will open ecosystem still be legible for Rocket League to grow?
That's interesting. I'll add on to your question, which is, so Valorant is technically not a franchised model, but it also has specific nuances where the barrier of entry is pretty high to get in, and so while there might not be I have to pay X amount of dollars to get the franchise, like high five, you guys are in type thing, right? Yeah. Like the franchise fee approval. There's other sports that are kind of mirroring that, but not, not that they're not saying it out loud, but like there are like some significant expectations if you're going to be partnered with the publisher, or if you're going to be, which is really what like if you're a franchise like CDL, everyone's partnered with the publisher, right? Yeah. So it is not open. You can't just run in, and so I don't know. To add on to that, do you think that changes the way, like, is open really open, I guess is the thing. Right?
My question, before I can answer the question, is
3 questions now. Here we go.
Are there casual League of Legends players, or like if you pick up the game, you are trying to go pro or at least play competitively?
I got friends that grind League.
But they play competitively. Like, are there casuals that just hop on for a couple games every couple of days?
League is one of those games where if you play it, you have to play it. There's literally no casual. The casual window is you learning the like mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
And the nuances of the game.
And that's why I feel like franchising works for them. Whereas games like Overwatch and the CDL have been heavily criticized since franchising, because they have such a casual player base as well that are constantly learning about the esport.
Yeah.
It's like if I just learned about the esport, but then I'm also learning that there's no shot of me going pro because it's a quote unquote friendship league, or it's a $25 million franchise fee, whatever you want to call it. That's just like, that doesn't help the case at all. Whereas everybody grinding League is like,
And not only that, like, just think about how, like, with Rocket League and League, like, the esport compared to just the casual game itself, they're not very different. Like you can play Rocket League on the casual standpoint and competitive. There's not different rules. There's not GA, COD, and all of these other esports are just completely different from the casual game. So it's
GA the Mangler.
So the casual player just never gets to love the esport because there's so many differences that they don't like.
Right.
The competitive player likes, whereas League, Rocket League are just all the same. It's going to be easier for it to grow. So
For sure. I mean, COD came out a week and a half, something like that. And there's already not only the CDL rule set, which is completely different than pubs, obviously, if you're familiar, but there's so many GAs too, like Gentleman's Agreement. Also, if you're unfamiliar, the two teams that are playing recognize that something is broken in the game or overpowered, and they agree not to use it because it's broken and it doesn't make sense. So on top of the CDL rule set, they're banning guns, or they're GAing guns, smokes, equipment, like...
That just makes no sense. Like imagine, I mean, we're in Kansas City, so imagine the Chiefs, and if the Chiefs aren't your favorite team, that's fine. We're not mad, but come on over because they're the best. But it's fine. It's fine.
I'm kind of mad.
That's fine. So we'll say the Chiefs and another team show up, right? And they're getting ready to play in the, the division or, whatever, right? They're the Super Bowl. And they're like, before the coin toss, they talk to each other and like, hey, we GA field goals, right? Like we're all going for it. That's a tool.
But even
successful.
But even with COD, they go so far of like taking key things out of the game that most people would like look forward to. It would be in that same example if they're like, you know what, Travis Kelce's kind of broken, so let's just no tight ends for today.
No tight ends. I mean, literally, tight end university. Sit down.
Just don't even worry about it. Right?
Smokes can change the meta
absolutely
at any given time. It can change timings, it can change pushes, it can open up an entire lane. The problem with smokes being G8 is because it's like a one-way smoke. So the past 3 years of Call of Duty, if you throw a smoke, if you're in the smoke, you can see out of it. But if you're looking into the smoke, you can't see in it. That's why they're GAing it, because it actually is broken, and that's not their fault. Like, that's on the game.
But like, it's also like, it's that age old like question of like, yeah, it might not be the way it was intended, but if everyone's playing with the same set of rules, like
then
what's the difference? It's no
Yeah.
different than going like, no, I mean, what's next? Like no scopes.
Right.
The Mangler
is the same regardless of guys.
It's just like, sorry, like you guys you get one gun. You're like, I don't know.
But that right there is what hurts the growth of the game. That's why games like Call of Duty will struggle to reach that tier 1 level.
Yeah.
Because games like League and Rocket League aren't doing that. There's no GAs. There's no distinguishing rules from the casual and competitive games. So.
Yeah, and in Black Ops 4 and in MW19, those two games back to back, COD went 5v5, and I think both of those years pubs were 5v5 too instead of 6v6. So they tried it, but Call of Duty did not play well 5v5. Like the maps aren't designed for it, the game modes aren't designed for it. Competitive Call of Duty is 4v4. Like that's just the best way to explain it.
How many Call of Duty players you think moved over to Apex?
I mean, Call of Duty players in general have left for other esports. Like especially when Halo Infinite dropped last year. A lot of the challengers scene that knew that they probably weren't going to make it out of the challengers scene went over to, and same with it went to Halo, and same with like Gears of War pros. When Gears shut down, like a lot of those players went to Halo.
Do you guys feel though that games are just becoming too complex? Like I just feel like maybe that's what's hurting esports' growth.
Let me speak as the worst, like for sure the worst gamer here, for like hands down. Like,
is it hands down?
Maybe, I don't know. Well, we'll just pretend like we're both dope. Like they already.
First of all, I'm fire. Okay, we're not gonna do this right now. I'm fire.
That's what I'm saying. But you hit me with the like, are we gonna do?
Don't look up my KD on anything.
This is not.
Fire. Like I'm being real.
I'm being real. Like this is not self-deprecating humor. This is like I need a hard carry in every game. But
heard that.
But what I would say is that, it goes back to like attention spans and just the barrier of entry, or what is the learning curve, because like you can go out and have a really good time playing Rocket League off the jump. Yep. You cannot have a really good time off the jump joining MW2.
Nope.
Oh yeah, not a
you
chance.
Cannot, like, it is very hard, like, to like Halo maybe because you're just like, or maybe this was pre let's just say 8 months ago, maybe it was easy to jump into Halo and have like some pretty fair matches, not being like, oh wow, I'm playing against a diamond and I'm like, I just got out of training. It's like, that's an L.
The new updates may have changed that though.
Slightly. It's different now, in case you don't know. But like, and then moving over to like Apex Legends, where it's like, I think you can still, there's some ways that they've made it to where you can play like,
arenas.
you know, you can play arenas, which is great. So you don't have to feel like, you know, where do like, I think there's a few games that, and that's why the popularity, it's interesting because it shifts both ways. Like games can be popular because anybody can jump in and it's intuitive and you can understand, like, which is why Rocket League continues to grow. And then there's other games that are like super, super hard. And like, if you're going to be like good at it and the publisher is behind it and there's huge tournaments and celebrities and you know, athletes, you know, esports athletes and pros that are behind it, it grows the same way. So it's almost like it goes two different directions. And then, but the games that maybe are in the middle are the ones that like
The newer games,
the
for
newer
sure,
ones
are struggling with it.
I honestly don't think games are that hard anymore.
Really?
What?
Hear me
What
out. Hear
game
me
are you
out.
talking-
Hear me out. Hear me
First,
out.
define a new game. Tell me, give us an example of what a new game.
We can
that's
use
not hard
we can
anymore.
use Apex. We can use Call of Duty. And this is why I say this. The
Hot take.
Hot
is,
take.
is that a hot take?
Flash that up there.
Okay.
Hot take.
Okay.
Because
Hot-
I cry playing Apex.
Hot take. I don't think games are that hard. I think it is the mentality of gaming that has changed.
Right.
Tell us more.
We grew up in an era where games were enjoyment. Most of the games that came out were single player games anyways. Then as games started to grow, it went from enjoyment to maybe a little bit of competitive, but it still was more of an enjoyment aspect. We now live in a day and age where almost way more than half of gamers get on to compete. They get on to sweat. They get on to play. That player base is something that's completely different now. It's not the game. It's actually the user base that is either better, they play longer, they play harder, and they're way more in tune to competing in the game, even if it's casual, versus the mechanics making the game more difficult.
I feel like even if they don't know about esports, they still want to sweat and be good. Like
YouTube-
nobody wants to just chill out and play anymore.
Right.
It's just like
People are trying to get clips. People are trying to see something they saw on YouTube, see something they saw on TikTok. The quick scoping era was a beautiful era for us. But also it was kind of way easier than it is now. Now, because everyone wants to make a quick scope montage.
But so you're saying that the average player now has like a more vested interest and more skill set. So it like,
Absolutely.
So then across the board, it just makes it mostly more easy because everyone's on the same page. Is that what
Well,
you're saying?
no, what I'm saying is that it's not the game itself that's difficult. It's the user
Right.
that their skill is just on a different level. It doesn't make it easier all the way around, but what it does is it doesn't make the game itself harder. It's the experiences could be harder if you get into a lobby and everybody in there are just straight demons and have been on a 6-hour run and they're just coming and tearing through lobbies. But that is the other side of the board. That has nothing to do with the game.
Yeah, but if I know that that's the norm, like why am I going to put my time, effort, and energy into that as a casual gamer?
That's why the casual gamers now look at their Steam playtime. They're all minimal. They all jump towards different games. They don't settle into the games. And when they do, you get your rage montages that you see of people rage uninstalling and breaking controllers and all that.
To be fair, like if I'm not a content creator and I don't work in the space and I just want to be a casual gamer and hop on with my IRL friends to have fun, like it'd be really hard to have fun still.
I play like Uno. Those are the games that I play in those.
like back in the day, like Black Ops 1 era, Modern Warfare 3 era, you can hop on with your IRL friends, drop a couple nukes or whatever, like just have fun. But you literally can't do it. If you play with, like last night, I was playing with a bunch of my viewers and like the skill base, like I'm not calling anybody out, but my skill base was a little much for them.
Right.
And like, it just made it really hard for them. I'm sure they're not enjoying themselves. Right. And like, I'm dropping like 63 in a hard point, but we're not winning.
Right.
So it's
That's
just
because I'm like, res me.
it's just a such
Buy
a
me
super
back.
weird dynamic now.
But don't you guys feel like, though, there's still the games that are still being created nowadays, right? Like COD, for example, MW2. Compare it to the MW2 that was released years ago. Now there's Gunsmith where you can put 100 different attachments on a gun where I'm just used to suppressor, grip,
red dot,
and I'm good to go. Like
Yeah.
whatever
Give me
the
the-
case.
yeah.
Like I just that's where I would probably defer with you there, Kingston. Is that I do feel like part of the reason it's hard to have fun is that some of the devs are just making the games a lot more complicated than they need to be at times.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can still jump in but then it goes just back to like, I can have fun in Rocket League, but I also, as a casual gamer, like I can't have like my Steam account can't have 15, different games that I'm kind of casual at, because then like I'm not going to be good enough to enjoy them. Maybe kind of to your point, but then like that's why people main 1 or 2 games or whatever.
Well,
but like for me, it's just 2.
If you want to be good at Call of Duty, like you have to look up a YouTube video on what gun to use and what's the meta and what attachments, because now not only the last 3 years do we have 1 million attachments, like Nate, that 100 Thieves video of Nate shot, automatic airborne mantle and put the gritty over it. That was hilarious. But now you can tune attachments as well.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I put a grip on my gun. I want it to shoot a little bit straighter, but then you can tune it all the way to the left to do something completely different, or all the way to the it's way too
just too
complex
hard.
than it needs to be.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to do that. And then maybe that's like, hey, there's other metas in games that still make it different or difficult and different. But like, maybe that's why I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to spend much time really crushing MW2. Yeah. Maybe I'll just go over and play Apex because I got to put all of my stuff in. And but there still is that meta where you just watch like, man, I'm watching our boys and like I didn't even have time to process what was in the mat, and they're like done.
Yeah,
You're like, what?
yeah.
You guys like ordered Chick-fil-A. You ordered an Uber. Everybody's got their gun. I'm like, what just happened? Like
So
I can't
much
do
going
that
on.
fast.
And I feel like too, that's what makes it hard to play with your friends nowadays. Is like if they're not on to like the metas and what's going on. If you're trying to play with your friend casually and they're not using the right attachments, you get frustrated with them. Then you start losing. You guys can only play about 5 games until you're ready to get off. And it's like, that's where I see where you can come from, Kingston, where it's like the competitive mindset in just casual games. It's just all
especially
competitive.
It's so different now. It's so different. And even when it comes to the attachments and the added things to games that make them more complicated, on that same time, we get information way faster than anything. We know about a meta almost immediately after an update happens. True. There is a graphic. I have an app on my phone that updates all metas and has a camo tracker and all that in the app. The information but that's what I'm saying. The information is that's
fast. Just so we're all clear, casual gamers across the world, like that's who we're playing against.
No. And
you know what I mean?
I would, especially in COD, I would deem myself as a very casual player. But I'm aware of the scene. I know that if I pop off or I play with people that pop off, I cannot roll in there with a busted P90 with no attachments and think I'm going to be able to hang. If I need it real quick, okay. You're gonna have to tune this to that. Okay, cool. I'm not trying to walk into a lobby looking.
I mean,
and
I'm not trying to drive my car onto a NASCAR track and be like, oh, this is egregiously unfair to you.
But if you wanted to, you would be like, I need to go and get the tools needed to be able to do so.
No.
That's all. That's all on your decision. That's what I'm saying, though. That's all on your decision.
But I'm
to
saying,
do so.
yes, because like that, it is conflating what a casual gamer is, maybe or like an average. What I think we're talking about is like when I say casual, only a few hours to deploy for time to play. A week, and what I think we're talking about is like who the average gamer that are playing, which immediately raises like you can be casual and do everything that you're saying, and the fact that you think that's casual, I'm over here going like, no, like bro, I ain't got an app for anything. You know what I mean? Like, what is he talking like a camo tracker? It's like,
no, I'm gonna be real. Shout out Twitter, because Twitter, they popped out 2 good graphics, and I was like, wait a minute, how do y'all get these metas so fast? And they're like, we just dropped an app, and I was like, you know what? Instead of having to screenshot or save all these graphics, I'll just have the app.
But
so
you need that to have fun. Like if you don't have the metas, you don't have what's going on. Like,
if you drop into Warzone 2 and you don't have any of that information, you're tough.
Another person told me last night in my chat, they were like, I didn't buy Modern Warfare 2, but I'm waiting for Warzone 2 to drop. And I'm like,
you're gonna be
not
so
gonna have
behind.
any guns or attachments. You can't make your classes.
Yep.
You're just not gonna have a good time. So it's like they make Warzone 2 free so everybody can play. But if you're not buying the game, you're not going to.
And that's why they did it in that release date cycle. They did it so everyone would jump on MW2, talk about it. They can talk about the numbers. They can talk about the money. Warzone pops out. You'll get all the ones that are like, oh, it's free. I can still get my Call of Duty experience, all this. Wait, why am I getting sniped in the head by somebody that has, what is it? Yeah, polyatomic marksman rifles and stuff like that. Oh, it's because they took these past few weeks to level up every single gun. Plus, now they got the new Battle Pass guns that they're going to level up immediately, which are always meta when they drop. Man. So then that's only encouraging people to get MW2 and buy the Battle Pass to get those weapons too. They do that for a reason, but people need to understand that, like, if you choose the path of, hey, I want to play this casually, I want to get free Warzone 2 and play it that way, understand you're going to be behind the curve to those that were like, I'm paying $100 for the Vault Edition, I'm getting every special camo, and that's the day and age of gaming right now.
They release campaign, a week later multiplayer, a month later Warzone, and sometime probably in like February, March, we'll get ranked play.
Yep.
Like, don't know why.
Maybe deal with it.
Yeah, maybe 5 months later.
Well, it sounds like you guys got a lot of time on your hands to tune weapons and build apps.
I do.
Come up with some new GAs. What do we not want to play with next week? Like, what are we going to take out? Anyways.
Today is smoke. Yeah, well, this is we can't end on this, so we should end on something else because I just feel sad that I will never be competitive at Call of Duty anything ever.
To end on a good note, like Kingston and I were talking before we started recording that Kai Sennett was like had 21 Savage at his place on the album release weekend and is playing a game of 2K with him for 120 racks. Like,
oh, it ended up being 200 grand overall. Drake put in 121 himself. Yeah,
just not real.
It speaks so hard to what is happening to the entertainment space in general and how much streaming is really starting to pull its own weight in that. You have two megastars in Drake and 21 Savage who released a collab project. It's going everywhere right now as far as trending topics, samples, clips, hashtags, memes, all of that. And you have one half of them in your house watching the memes with you. And then having Drake FaceTime you and say, yo, I'm either going to put 121,000 if you win, but if you lose to 21, we're going to collab together and do something for the kids. And this is in front of 300,000 people live. To be able to have that kind of reach and audience, to have 300,000 looking at you, and 21 set up his Twitch account right before that stream because he was like, you're getting this many people and you don't even have to leave the house. Musicians back in the day would love to have a crowd of 75,000, let alone 300. Yeah, 300,000, and didn't even have to leave the house. It's insane. Thanks. And what he's doing at being him, only being him, what the whole AMP squad and all these like groups, AMP, RDC World One, and all of them that just making content that's genuinely them. Once again, not being so pressed on what are they doing? What is the timeline doing? What is this doing? Just being you and putting out the most authentic you. Yes, you'll be sitting next to one of your favorite artists at your crib on your time. Say them making promises that, hey, yeah, I'm gonna come in February for your subathon. I'm gonna be here. Like those kind of things. It's big and it's such a huge contribution of like, be you, make your content, have fun with it. Don't let all these people tell you how to produce or how to move or how to do that. Do your content how you should. You're the only one that's going to be able to do it.
Yeah. And I think that's why gaming is the future, though. You know,
I mean, everybody's taking notice of it. Like, is Drake not an investor in 100 Thieves, or like he was at some point, right?
I think so. Or is
early on? I mean, like Marshawn Lynch, Shaquille O'Neal, like they're all getting involved.
Drake, Shaq,
You're only going to see it continue to happen more and more. But I feel like that was a much better outro than.
That is a good outro. I mean, it's like, gaming is the now and next generation. Like people want what they want, how they want, when they want it. You like the barrier of entry is pretty low, like decent internet. You know what I mean? And,
like you said, 21 Savage is creating his own Twitch channel now. Like just imagine what if Drake creates his own and more, and gaming just continues to grow.
When Drake heard on the FaceTime, he was like, "Yeah, we got about 300,000 live in here." He said, "Oh wait, what?"
He's like, "Skirt." I was like, I thought this was just a Mario Kart 8-man match.
Right. But the mindset is still very much in that. A lot of people, when they hear gaming, they think either, oh, you're probably wasting your time, or, oh, you're probably somebody that doesn't take care of themselves or anything like that. And it's like, no, there's actually people paying for their lives, their family lives, their kids' lives, and so on by just doing what they love to do. Imagine that.
Everyone's a gamer. That's the moral of the story.
Facts.
And more people are growing up with controllers in their hand or KBM than ever before. No?
Controller gang till I die.
Okay.
Hey, man, I'm with
Roller. You roller?
Roller boys.
I mean,
Roller boys. Hey.
I play KBM on Overwatch, but that's literally it.
I've played Valorant like twice in my life. But anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in to this second episode of The Main Story. Feel free to leave a comment and let us know what topics you enjoyed, if you want to hear us talk about anything in future episodes. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace out, man.
Got the main in there.
Got the main in there.
That was good. That was a lot.
What time is it?